lived too long. I had to explain who Queen was.
No.
And then I had to explain Bohemian Rhapsody. And then I had to explain what that meant. And what I also had to explain was what Freddie Mercury was going through at Live Aid. If you haven't already done this, I want you to go home tonight and Google his Live Aid performance. You know what? All I ever wanted to do was that.
Only the best
I would give
rock concert
anything
ever.
to fucking trance and be able to sing 4 fucking octaves and have 100,000 people in the palm of my hand. It is probably the greatest performance I've ever seen. And the music, it fits right in. So you can start the camera. We'll turn it off.
Already.
Thank you. The music, it's transcends everything, and it fits right in our discussion of failure. Because the reviews for Bohemian Rhapsody were vicious. They were, I mean, it was, oh, it's too long, it's drivel, it's obnoxious, it's nonsensical, but it went on and on and on. And do you understand that they filled Wembley Stadium, where that took place, was torn down. It does not exist anymore. Nothing exists. Queen doesn't exist, Freddie doesn't exist, Wembley doesn't exist. But they filled the stadium where they did fill it with 100,000 extras. And all they had to do was put out an ad for Queen fans. And they had too many. He put on a concert in Brazil that to this day is probably still the largest concert audience ever. And this is when he discovered that he said he didn't know that they understood a word he said, and then the audience was singing his song back to him word for word. And he had them in the palm of his hands. And his music transcended everything. That operatic thing, when I first heard it, I've been asleep so much of my life. I was the one that thought the Beatles were a fad. And I ain't kidding you. These new things that come along, everything new is like, that breaks barriers and that is challenging. I've looked at as, oh my God, that's, and then fortunately, because my long suit is my ability to change. My ex-wife, who's still my best friend and my business partner and love her to death, once told me, I'll bore you with this story again, she said, you know what your best asset is? And I went, my manly physique. Yeah, right. She said, no, it's your ability to change. When you're wrong, you admit it and you change. And that's why we're still together. And it's why I have come around to all of these things. I did the same thing with you too, and I did the same thing. The only one, there was one I got right, and that was the minute I saw Elvis Presley, I was like, my life changed. But Queen, this lightning strikes. This guy was was doing airlines. He was taking suitcases and loading them on the stuff, but he had a vision of himself. And it was failure. The movie was about failure, and then it's about success, right? It's the same thing. But what I want to focus on was this Live Aid performance, knowing what he knew. He said something once. He said, when I have them, when I really have the audience and I know it, I can't possibly sing off key. He was surfing what we're doing in the warm-up. That connection was so strong, it was like an electric wave. Matter of fact, you saw a wave go through. It was really interesting because when you see the movie, it shows a lot of individual faces in the audience, and they sneaked in some old-time Queen fans because they're like my age, right, in the crowd. And in the early crowd, that wasn't so. It was all young people and misfits, etc. But it is such, it's a confluence of many, many factors that came together to make something incredibly special. And I encourage all of you to go see it. But the point I was trying to make is, when Queen came up, I was kind of asleep at the switch, but even I couldn't stop humming the music and knew the refrains and could recognize, any Queen song just about. And they were amazing. It was only later that I tapped into just how special and dynamic and wonderful they were. What's really interesting to me is, you all know about Wayne's World, right? Mike Myers, which is now an iconic old movie, but at the time it was like cutting edge. That was like 15, 20 years after Bohemian Rhapsody came out. And Bohemian Rhapsody made #1 on the charts, right, when it came out. 20 years later, when Mike Myers came out in the movie, it hit #1 again. You realize how insane that is? That's a whole new generation that heard that fucking music and had the same reaction to it we all did. And I will guarantee you, it's climbing up the charts now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it did something that no other song has, and that is hit the charts again 3 times in a row with a, decade or more gap. It's power, and it's what brought me to this business. And I mean, I would give anything to have been able to do that. And, what's interesting to me is, we talked about A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga, and her having to wear a meat suit to get noticed. A generational talent. And he had to do the same thing, be this outrageous, groundbreaking person in order to succeed at the level he wanted to. And what's the point? The point is that there are going to be barriers and obstacles to whatever you want to accomplish in your life. And if you don't have that belief in yourself that says, I'm going there, no matter what, no matter how, I'm going there, you ain't gonna make it. It's the nature of the beast. But if you do, if you could hold on to your vision when everybody around you is naysaying and throwing stones at you and saying you're a fucking idiot or calling you Peter Pan like my family did in my case, comes with the territory. But if you can hold on to it, you'll at least have a shot at your dream. Thanks for listening.